Hey guys, it's your girl Bossladyrel, and I am back with yet another YouTube video. So as you guys can see by the title of this video, I have some tea for you guys. Now, before we jump in, go ahead and make sure you subscribe to my channel and make sure you hit the bell icon so that you can be notified any and every single time I post a video going forward. So let's jump in. Now, a lot of people did not know that I was in a relationship in 2023. It was months before I even told anybody that I was in a relationship, and it accidentally slipped out of my mouth. I felt that I needed to keep that to myself, so I didn't post him or anything like that. To be very honest, I think the most that social media has really seen of that man is like his hand, okay? Other than that, nothing to see. And this was something that was agreed upon from the beginning. So it was on my thing that I just did not want to have a social media relationship. But now here's the backstory. So I met my ex back in 2021 on Facebook dating. So of course we matched. And I was really attracted to him, of course. He was really attracted to me. We got to texting and talking on FaceTime and all that stuff. And honestly, it was, you know, good conversation, good energy, good everything. However, the way that I was set up mentally at that time was not fit for a relationship. I had just gotten into a very traumatic car accident, and I was trying to figure out my life because essentially my whole plan was to move to Houston, and that was really what I was focused on. So I didn't really take any dating or anything like that seriously during that time. So after about a month or two, I think we kind of just fell off and, you know, just kind of moved on with my life. So in 2022, he ended up commenting on one of my TikToks, and I was like, oh, like he still exists? That's crazy. So I think I just liked the comment. I didn't comment back or anything like that, and again, kept moving on with my life. Now from November to January of 2023, I was completely off of social media. However, I was still posting on like my WhatsApp story or WhatsApp status. And for whatever reason, he just kept watching my status out of nowhere. So on February 1st, he ended up reaching out to me, and he asked if he could take me on a date. And I was like, bruh, I don't live in Dallas no more. So no, my mind wasn't there. Like, even though I had been praying about a husband, praying for a husband and all that stuff, that was not what I wanted. Because I told God I want a man that's in Houston, because I'm not doing the whole long distance thing. So the conversation just kind of died after that. Then the next day he posted something on his status that caused me to comment on it. And then that's how we now got into very deep conversation. And that was when we both, you know, stated that we both wanted to get married and, you know, all this stuff. So now, of course, this is early February. We're getting into Valentine's Day weekend. So at this point, I was like, hey, let's go ahead and fast and pray about it and really see, like, is this really where we're supposed to be? Is this what we're supposed to be doing? So we decided to fast and pray. Now, backtrack. January 20th, I sat down and I wrote out everything that I wanted in a husband. And I was very detailed. Majority of the things that I put on there was more so like characteristics and traits. It wasn't necessarily like the physical things. But of course, I want a man that's attractive. I want a man that got a beard, you know, stuff like that. But I really spent time writing out different characteristics and traits that I really wanted in a man. And I remember on the 22nd, I went for a laser hair removal treatment, and the manager of the facility was like, do you have a significant other? And I was like, no. And she was like, well, 2023 is your year. And I was just like, that's really weird. Okay. So for my ex to now reach out to me like a week after that was very interesting, right? It all seems like it's God's plan, right? Okay. So my ex and I decided to fast for 3 days. I believe it was 3 days. And we both felt good after we finished fasting. So he proceeded to come down here, and he went and booked all these nice restaurants, and we just went on like multiple dates in like 3-4 days. We did that, and then we also went ring shopping, because remember, we had talked about marriage and that we want to get married. We talked about when we wanted to get married, like down to the month. Like everything was like to the T. So After that, that was really just the beginning of our relationship. So from there, everything was going good. Do not get me wrong, everything was going good. However, the weekend that he came down here, I did end up having a dream that something or someone was trying to stop us from like being together. And I remember waking up and telling him like, hey, I just had this dream or whatever. But me being the prayer warrior that I am, I just prayed against it, and you know, that was that. Now, moving forward in our relationship, our communication was good, I guess. We would talk every day, you know, from basically like morning to night, whether that's texting or talking on FaceTime, talking on the phone, whatever the case is, we were always in communication. So our communication in that regard was good, in my opinion. However, something that I realized is that communication is not about frequency, but about substance. So what is actually being discussed? You know, it's not just about us talking every day. What are we actually really talking about? And granted, there were things of substance that we were talking about, but I really feel like I need to be able to observe you and then also be able to ask questions and have certain conversations. But if you're 3-4 hours away, there's not really much for me to observe, right? So we were just doing really good in terms of like our spiritual life, making sure that we're praying together, we're joining different like prayer lines and all this stuff together, midnight prayers. Like we were doing the whole thing that like the Christian, you know, the Christian world is telling us that we should do in order for us to have a fruitful relationship or fruitful marriage. However, one thing I will say is that just because you and a person have a common goal does not mean that you guys are in alignment. And as the relationship progressed, I started to see it more and more. The red flags started to be like bright red. But because I was so hell-bent on getting married, I would just like pray and be like, God, deal with this, or God, deal with that, not knowing or understanding that God is like, you need to get out. So things started to get a bit weird when it would be time for him to come down here. So every time it would be time for him to come down here, it's always an excuse. Something always happens. But from day one, I literally set the tone. I said, these are my expectations. This is what this is. This is what this isn't. Do you agree with the terms and the conditions of this relationship? And he said yes to everything. So that's why I didn't understand why now it's time for him to come down and now it's an issue. Oh, my tire is flat. Oh, this happened. Oh, this happened. And each time it would just get progressively worse. But me being me, trying to be gracious, I was just like, you know what? It is what it is, because whenever I go to Dallas, it'll fix everything. However, when I would get to Dallas, after he would see me, like when we would spend time, like maybe like on a Friday that I would come in, I would barely hear from him again after that. But then he would expect to see me on Sunday when he knows I'm heading back to Houston Sunday morning. And so he would now be feeling a type of way like, sir, you abandoned me all of Saturday. I didn't matter. You went about your life. You didn't text me back. You didn't check to make sure that I'm okay. What's really the issue here? So the next time that it was time for him to come down, he made like some stupid excuse. I don't even remember what the excuse was, but like he made an excuse, but he's the one saying that he was gonna come down. I didn't ask him to. He's the one saying, oh babe, I'm gonna come see you. Now, mind you guys, from June to August, each month I kept having a dream that he was cheating on me, unfailingly. And the first 2 times that it happened, I confronted him. The first time it happened specifically, I remember waking up and I texted him and I said that if you decide to step out on me, it's gonna be to your own detriment. And he was just like, what are you talking about? So we ended up talking and I told him, I had a dream that you cheated on me. And the dream was him cheating on me at a church convention. Like, you know how crazy that is? So June, July, August, kept having these dreams of him cheating. Now, August was really when everything came to like a close, pretty much. And he was supposed to come down here. This was like the last week of August. And we talked the night before, confirmed that he's coming. talked the day of. The last text that we had was like at 2 in the afternoon, and he said, oh, like, I miss you or something like that. I don't remember what he said. Now I'm literally waiting for him to show up, because usually he'll get off work at like 4 or 5 and drive down, so he'll be here by like 8:30, 9 o'clock. I sat and I waited, I called, I did everything. He was not answering, but he was watching my stories on IG. So now I'm sitting here like, why is he watching my stories but he's not answering me, and he's supposed to be down here? So the whole night like passed and he never appeared. And for 3 weeks, I did not hear from this man. 3 whole weeks. I did not hear from my boyfriend for 3 weeks. So after the first few days of him going ghost, he wasn't my man no more. I was honestly checked out at that point, because there's no reason why you would play with me like that. No reason why you would have me in such an emotional pot for whatever reason. I don't really know what he gained out of doing that. But he did come back after that 3 weeks explaining himself, and supposedly something happened to his mom and she had some surgery that I was unaware of. How am I your girlfriend and I don't know that your mom is having surgery? Strange. And he just came back with all these like excuses, then caught himself trying to like make it up to me. And he was supposed to come down here for a grand opening that I was pretty much like putting together for a clinic. And he invited himself, I did not invite him. And I remember I was kind of like annoyed that he invited himself, and I prayed and I told God that if it's meant for him to come, then let him come. But if it's not meant for him to come, then he shouldn't come. Now, exactly a week after he came back and said his piece, we got into an argument about him helping me pick up food for the grand opening. All I said was that you may have to help me pick up food for the grand opening. And everything just went left. This man just started like spazzing on me, talking about he's not an errand boy. I don't even know these people. If I have to come down there and do anything, then I'm not gonna come at all. And just like saying all this stuff and kind of talking to me in like a degrading manner. And I kept telling him, I never said that you had to. I said that you may. The key word here is may. I'm not saying that you had to. And I don't have to ask you. You're my boyfriend, for crying out loud. If I tell you, hey, babe, you may have to help me do X, Y, and Z, I don't know why you would think that I would have to ask you. When do we ever ask each other stuff of that nature? You know? So I was just like, what is he, like, what are you talking about? So at that point, I told him, I said, you know what? You can stay back. You don't even have to come, because honestly, I didn't even want him to come anyways. So the last thing I told him was that like he's pissing me off and I don't have time for this. Like, you don't have to come. And that was honestly it. That was the end of the relationship. Sounds crazy, huh? It is. But that was the end of the relationship. And I remember that during the time that he had gone ghost on me, I kept wondering, like, God, didn't you say like this is the guy for me? Like, we prayed, we fasted, we did everything that we needed to do. Why does everything look the way it does? Like, is it that the enemy is fighting us on this, or what really is it? And after spending like time to myself and just kind of spending more time with God, I guess, I came to understand that that relationship essentially was like a test. And I think that the thing that God was trying to show me was that you don't just rush into marriage. Now, a lot of people in the Christian world have this belief that you just rush into marriage, that within 3 months, 6 months, you just get married. And I did think that way at a point, like it shouldn't take this long for you to know that this person is for you and for you guys to get married. However, based off of my own experience now, I will never rush into a relationship again. Neither would I, use marriage as a reason to be in something that I do not need to be in. And I really just say this all to say that I don't care how old you are. Even if you're in your late 30s, you're in your 40s and you're still not married, there is actually beauty in waiting and doing things on God's time, because when it's on God's time, it's going to be perfect. And by perfect, it's going to be perfect by God's standard, not our standard. And Also, you just don't want to be in a situation where you have to turn around and you now have to find your way out of an abusive relationship, or you now find out that you're married to a pathological liar, or you now find out that this person's a narcissist. Like, you do not want to have to find out any of these things. And this is why you see God's face in everything that you do, and God will truly direct your path. But again, for all the girlies out here, do not rush into any relationship. Do not rush into marriage. Take your time, but be intentional as you do take your time. Don't take forever, but take your time. Like, let God tell you when it is time. So for me, God has made it very clear that right now is not the time for me to be in a relationship. And trust me, I'm okay with it. I'm actually at peace with that. However, when it is time, I'm going to make sure that I am more intentional, and that I am, you know, walking the way that God wants me to walk, doing things the way that God wants me to, and that my man is also on the same time all the way through. No two-facedness or nothing like that. But that is the end of my little story time. If you like it, you know, go ahead and hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know any other content that you would like me to put out. And again, if you are not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and make sure that you are subscribed. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye.